Note: this is a purely fictional story created for entertainment purposes. All events and characters are not real and are not intended to endorse any actions depicted. The fateful ring of the telephone pierced the night, bringing news I thought I'd heard once before. My husband had passed away, again. But this time, I was no longer the naive wife who cried her eyes out, but someone returned from the dead, carrying memories of a life betrayed and determined to reclaim everything. A cruel mother-in-law, a shameless mistress, and a hypocritical husband. What ending awaits this ill-fated relationship? You are listening to a story on the Romantic Twist Reviews channel. Please like and follow to hear more great stories every day. Ms. Vivian, your husband, Ethan Cole, suffered a sudden heart attack. Resuscitation was unsuccessful. Please come to the city hospital immediately to complete the death certificate procedures. Hearing this call again, I felt my head spin. Hadn't I already died? I looked up at the calendar, New Year's Day, 2025. I burst out laughing. Just like in my previous life, I rushed to the hospital at top speed. Before I could even see Ethan's corpse, I heard Linda's shrill scolding from afar. Vivian, you jinx. You money-wasting, husband-killing woman. You barren hen, all you know is eat. 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 On New Year's Day, you couldn't be content, you just had to have fresh coconut water. You like to drink it so much, right? I'll let you drink until you're sick of it. Linda, her old face contorted like a demon, her eyes filled with a hatred that seemed to want to swallow me alive. She held a plastic bottle and rushed towards me. In my past life, I truly believed I was the reason Ethan died, my heart filled with pain and guilt. I knelt and endured Linda forcing water into my mouth, hitting and cursing me. I received 10 heavy slaps. My head spun. Not long after, I fainted. I slept for a whole day and night. When I woke up, all I saw was Ethan's urn and a group of fierce-looking creditors. Thinking back now, I realized there were too many suspicious things. No matter how strong Linda was, I couldn't have been so weak as to faint from just 10 slaps and sleep so deeply for so long. Seeing her about to force me to drink water again, I suddenly realized there must be something wrong with that bottle of water. I quickly snatched the bottle and threw it hard on the ground. Water splashed everywhere. Mom, Ethan is gone, how could I be in the mood to drink water? I cried heartbreakingly, even more pathetically than she did. Linda was stunned, clearly not expecting me to dare to resist. I took the opportunity to push her away and rushed to hug Ethan tightly. My ear pressed against his chest, I clearly felt a strong heartbeat. I lifted the white sheet, saw that face, even if it turned to ashes, I would recognize it. I remembered in my previous life, just because I casually said I wanted to drink fresh coconut water. He immediately ran out to buy it. I was so touched that I believed I had married a man who loved me unconditionally. Who would have thought it was all part of his plan to fake his death? Just to make me feel guilty for causing his death. And to willingly take on tens of millions in debt. I struggled so hard to pay it all off. I thought I could live freely from then on. Who knew that in the end, I would be angered to death by him on the spot. Thinking of the humiliations of my past life, anger flared up inside me, rushing to my head. I raised my hand and slapped him repeatedly across the face. Each slap was delivered with all my strength. While hitting him, I wailed tragically, Ethan. Wake up. You can't leave me alone and die like this. You promised to bring me happiness, how could you go back on your word? My cries became increasingly desperate, as if my heart was also shattering. We don't even have children yet, if you go like this, the Cole family line will end. Ethan, faking death is fun, isn't it? In this life, I will make you truly die. Die so you can't come back to life. I'll even hire a Taoist priest to perform a ritual. To cast you into the animal realm. So you can never be reincarnated as a human again. When Linda saw me hitting her son, she immediately went crazy like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. You bitch. How dare you hit my son? And you dare curse him to have no descendants. I'll beat you to death, you jinx. Linda, with her old, fierce face like a demon, rushed towards me again. I was already prepared and quickly dodged to the side. She lunged and missed, her body slamming hard into the table beside her. On the table was an uncovered thermos of hot water. Boiling water spilled out, splashing directly onto her. Ah, a tragic scream, like a pig being slaughtered, echoed throughout the hospital room. I felt a great sense of satisfaction. In my previous life, she forced me to drink an unknown liquid. So in this life, let her taste what boiling water feels like. Linda writhed on the ground in pain, constantly cursing. You bitch. You did it on purpose. You won't die a good death, you damn. She hissed the most vicious words, but I wasn't angry at all. Instead, I put on a worried, concerned expression. Mom, are you okay? You must be confused. Ethan just passed away. Did you want to use boiling water to torture yourself and follow your son? If you do that, Ethan won't be able to rest in peace even after death. I deliberately emphasized the word death. Linda's face contorted in pain, her teeth clenched, but she still didn't forget to curse me, you bitch. My son isn't dead. You're the one who's dead. Your whole family is dead. I pretended to be surprised and asked, you mean, you also don't believe Ethan is really dead, right? I feigned ignorance and continued, actually, I think so too. Ethan is usually as strong as an ox, how could he just die like that? The doctor must have misdiagnosed. I have to find another doctor to check again. I pretended to leave, but Linda frantically pulled me back. Don't go. She clutched my sleeve tightly, as if afraid I would actually do it. I acted puzzled, staring at her. Mom, don't you hope that Ethan was just misdiagnosed and is actually still alive? Linda looked impatient and replied, Nicole already signed the death certificate, how can it be fake? I raised an eyebrow, deliberately feigning ignorance. Nicole? Who is Nicole? Are you very close to her? My voice carried a hint of suspicion, a hint of probing. Nicole, she is. Linda immediately looked flustered, stammering. Vivian, I'm Nicole Vance. Ethan and I were elementary school classmates. A voice came from the doorway of the hospital room. I turned my head. Immediately, I felt my stomach churn, and hatred surged like a violent wave. It was this face. In my previous life, she was the one on Ethan's arm walking down from a luxury car, as arrogant as a victorious queen. Nicole was my first love, Ethan said, holding her in his arms, glancing at me disdainfully. Back then, we were madly in love, it's just a pity I was poor and her parents objected, so we had to break up. But I never forgot Nicole. Seeing her again was the happiest moment of my life. As for marrying you, it was only because I needed you to sell your house to get money for me to start a business. Every word he said was like a sharp knife stabbing into my heart. If you and your first love are so in love, why didn't you divorce me and go your separate ways? Why did you have to fake your death? I roared in anger, questioning that shameless man. Do you think I'm stupid? If I divorced you, I'd have to share my assets with you. He laughed arrogantly. My assets, of course, are left to the woman I love and my son. What are you? Besides, if we really divorced, wouldn't all those debts fall on my head? Luckily, you're stupid enough, so stupid that I felt completely at ease. I knew you would shoulder the debt for me. Thanks to you, I've been able to live a rich life for the past 15 years. Shameless. Utterly shameless. I was so angry I vomited a mouthful of blood. My vision went dark. Just like that, I died of indignation. My mind returned to the present. The moment I saw Nicole Vance's nauseatingly fake face, I had to try my best to suppress the rage roaring within me. Seeing Nicole Vance appear, Linda seemed to have found support and immediately calmed down. That's right, Nicole is Ethan's elementary school classmate, they are very close. As soon as she heard Ethan was in trouble, she immediately rushed over to help. She glanced at me with a mocking look, not like someone, selfish and petty, only knows how to eat and drink all day, never cares about her husband. I didn't bother to pay attention to her sarcastic remarks, just looked straight at Nicole Vance. Dr. Vance, I want to see my husband's death certificate, may I? My voice was icy, devoid of any emotion. Of course, you can. I took the death certificate from her hand, carefully checking Nicole Vance's signature and the hospital's seal. I tried hard to suppress the excitement rising in my chest. You bitch, see clearly now? My son is really dead. Don't cause trouble here, pretending it's a misdiagnosis. I took a deep breath and continued to play the role of the grieving wife. You're right, Mom, Ethan is really dead. So I want to fulfill his last wish. My son's wish? Why don't I know anything about it? Linda frowned, confused. I didn't answer, just took out my phone and dialed the organ donation center. Hello, I want to register my husband for organ donation. Immediately, Linda and Nicole Vance froze, staring at me in astonishment. You bitch, what are you doing? Linda screamed, are you crazy? Who allowed you to donate my son's organs? Mom, I'm not crazy, I replied. When he was alive, Ethan told me many times that he wanted to contribute more to society. After he died, if he could donate his organs to help those who need to be saved, he would be very happy. I'm just helping him fulfill his last wish. Why are you stopping me? Impossible. Ethan would never say those words. Don't you dare use that as an excuse to donate his organs. Nicole Vance also jumped in to object. I snorted coldly at her. Dr. Vance, Ethan Cole is my husband. What he said, wouldn't I know better than you? I looked straight into her eyes, each word like a knife, or perhaps, Dr. Vance, you were hiding under our marital bed listening in, that's why you dare to assert that he never mentioned organ donation? My words were like a sharp blade stabbing straight into her heart. No. I don't know anything. Don't slander me. Nicole Vance stammered her defense, her eyes darting around, not daring to look directly at me. The more flustered she became, the more certain I was that Ethan had secretly brought her into our bedroom when I wasn't home. Damn it, that bed is filthy now. It has to be thrown out immediately. Linda still refused to back down, screaming frantically, no. Absolutely not. If you dare to donate Ethan's organs, I'll smash my head and die right here for you to see. I knew what they were afraid of was that if his organs were donated, it would mean Ethan Cole was truly dead. I pretended to be helpless and took a step back. All right then. If Mom doesn't agree to organ donation, then we won't donate. We'll take Ethan for cremation soon, let him rest in peace, be reincarnated soon, and become a human again. My voice was as calm as if I were discussing daily meals. Linda and Nicole Vance immediately jumped up, protesting in unison, no. Absolutely no cremation. Their reaction was completely within my expectations. I feigned ignorance and asked, Mom, Dr. Vance, you two are very strange. It's one thing not to agree to organ donation, but why not allow cremation either? I deliberately emphasized, if a dead person is not cremated, are you going to let the body rot in the house? I pressed on, step by step, sentence by sentence. Turning to Nicole Vance, I questioned her coldly, Dr. Vance, you're just an outsider, on what grounds are you interfering in my family's affairs? I narrowed my eyes, my voice growing colder, could it be that between you and Ethan Cole, it's not just elementary school classmates, but some shady relationship that I don't know about? Each of my questions was like a bomb, exploding in their hearts. Nicole Vance backed away in fear, her face ashen, her eyes evasive. Just then, four large, fierce-looking men suddenly burst into the hospital room. They shouted, who is Vivian? Your husband owes our boss $10 million, when are you going to pay it back? Linda and Nicole Vance exchanged a glance, a look of triumphant conspiracy flashing in their eyes. Linda immediately pointed at me, her shrill voice telling the debt collectors, it's her. She is Vivian. My son's wife. She deliberately spoke loudly, as if afraid others wouldn't hear. Before my son died, he left a will stating that all debts after his death would be inherited by Vivian. If you want to collect the debt, go find her. This old hag changed her tune faster than flipping a book. A moment ago she was wailing tragically, now she was eagerly pushing me out as a shield. The debt collectors immediately surrounded me, all of them looking menacing. A man with a scarred face pointed straight at me and cursed, you rotten woman, you owe our boss $10 million, when are you going to pay it back? $10 million? I sneered inwardly. Ethan Cole, that bastard, transferred all his assets and left me this surprise gift. In my previous life, I was truly fooled into idiocy not to realize his vicious scheme. This life, don't even think about making me carry his debt anymore. I put on a dazed, innocent look, what $10 million? I don't know. My husband never gave me that money, what do I have to pay you with? Stop pretending, another man hissed, his voice full of threat. If you don't pay today, we'll break your legs and sell you to Southeast Asia. I suppressed my anger and replied coldly, you are fraudsters. I don't know who your boss is, and I would never give you any money. Seeing that I wouldn't submit, the the debt collectors went berserk, raising their fists and rushing towards me. In that critical moment, I quickly pushed Linda in front of me. Pushed unexpectedly, she screamed and collided with one of the advancing debt collectors. The man staggered back and reflexively pushed her away. Linda slammed hard against the wall, her head hitting the corner with a dull thud, and blood gushed out. Her eyes rolled back, and she immediately fainted. A good opportunity. Mom. You've killed my mother. I'll make you pay with your lives. I cried and screamed, quickly pulling out my phone to call the police. Police. Help me. Someone is illegally collecting debts and trying to kidnap me to sell to Southeast Asia. My mother-in-law almost got beaten to death trying to save me. The police arrived at the scene immediately and subdued the debt collectors. After confirming they were indeed a gang specializing in violent debt collection, they were taken to the station. Now, only Nicole Vance and I were left in the hospital room. I pointed at Linda lying unconscious on the floor and said to her, "Dr. Vance, please take my mother-in-law to the emergency room quickly." Nicole Vance stood still, sneering, "Go yourself, she's your mother-in-law anyway. Your husband just died, are you planning to ignore her too?" I laughed coldly and questioned back, "Dr. Vance, are you really a doctor?" Seeing an injured person lying motionless and still being so cold, that's truly heartless. I really doubt your competence and medical ethics. I will call and complain to the hospital director about your negligence, foreseeing death and not saving. You don't deserve to be a doctor. I took out my phone, pretending to dial. Nicole Vance's face turned pale, and she quickly snatched the phone from my hand. No need to complain. I'll take Auntie for a checkup immediately. But. She looked at me and said quietly, "Don't do anything to Ethan's body. He is Auntie's only son, if anything happens to the body, you won't be able to bear the consequences." I know, just take my mother-in-law to the emergency room first. Nicole Vance, afraid of her identity being exposed, had to grit her teeth and take Linda for treatment. I watched their retreating backs, a cold smile playing on my lips. "Ethan Cole, it's time for you to really go to hell." Sitting in the car on the way to the crematorium, I saw Ethan's ring finger twitching slightly. His brain was gradually waking up, but due to the anesthetic still in his system, his limbs couldn't move yet. I observed the ring on his finger carefully. It was a matching pair with the one Nicole Vance was wearing. This despicable couple must have been confident their plan would succeed. That's why they dared to shamelessly wear matching rings. I raised my hand, slap. Slap. A few slaps landed squarely on his face. "Ethan Cole, I know you're faking your death." I enunciated each word, my voice low and full of hatred. "I also know that the 10 million debt was meant for me to bear. And I know even better that you plan to elope with your white moonlight after escaping, to live a free and happy life. Wake up." I laughed coldly. "Your plan will fail, because you're about to be cremated." His finger twitched again. I took the fruit knife from my handbag, the knife I had prepared before leaving home. I grabbed his ring finger and swung the knife down. Thwack. The finger was severed. I showed no emotion, throwing the finger straight out the car window. "I hear stray dogs love to gnaw on bones," I said in a monotone voice, as if narrating something completely unrelated to me. He must be in great pain. But unfortunately, the anesthetic hadn't worn off yet. He didn't even have the chance to scream. I am a kind person. That ring, I moved it to his middle finger. So he can take it with him to the underworld and pine for her. The car quickly arrived at the crematorium. I didn't expect it to be so crowded on New Year's Day. A sea of black, the air filled with the smell of sorrow. And burning joss paper. I took a deep breath. I had to act fast, I couldn't delay. I presented Ethan's death certificate, our marriage certificate, and then took out a thick stack of cash. "Please help me get priority access." The staff member looked troubled. "It's too crowded today, everyone is waiting in a long line." I added more money, pushing another stack over, triple the normal price. The people around immediately started murmuring, everyone clearly showing their dissatisfaction. "Why does she get to cut in line? We've been waiting for a long time too." "So what if you have money?" I was as anxious as if I were on fire. Every minute delayed increased the risk. Sure enough, Linda's shrill screams echoed from a distance. "Vivian. You cursed woman. My son isn't dead. If you dare to cremate him, I'll skin you alive. I'll rip out your tendons. I was startled, my heart sinking to the pit of my stomach. Nicole Vance was supporting Linda, whose head was still bandaged, as they staggered towards us. I immediately acted, turning and kneeling before the staff. Tears streamed down my face like rain, and I sobbed as if my heart was breaking. Please, sirs and madams. Please cremate my husband immediately. I sobbed, my voice choked with emotion. My mother-in-law can't bear the shock of her son's death. She has suffered severe psychological trauma. I pointed towards Linda, crying and speaking louder. She poured boiling water on herself and then smashed her head against the wall. Now she's saying my husband isn't dead and wants to take the body home. I covered my face, crying too hard to speak. I'm afraid she'll go crazy. Please, sirs and madams, cremate my husband immediately, end her delusion. My heart-wrenching wails, combined with my superb acting, quickly gained the sympathy of the surrounding crowd. The staff couldn't bear to watch any longer and immediately opened a priority lane, taking Ethan's body into the cremation chamber. Everything was ready. The most thrilling moment had finally arrived. I imagined Ethan struggling in the flames, his screams soundless but full of despair. But just as the staff was about to press the cremation button, a piercing scream rang out, "Damn you! Whoever dares to press that button will have to answer to me." Linda rushed towards the control room, intending to prevent the cremation. I couldn't let her succeed. Today, Ethan had to die. I immediately ran in after her. Nicole Vance grabbed my arm tightly, her voice shrill, "Vivian, you can't do this." Ethan, he. I swung my hand and slapped her deceitful face hard. Slap. Right after, I spat, hitting her meticulously applied makeup directly. Nicole Vance screamed, clutching her face, stunned and unable to react. At the same time, Linda had almost reached the operator, intending to stop him from pressing the cremation button. In that critical, hair-raising moment, I quickly pulled the operator aside. Linda, unable to stop in time, slammed into the control panel, her entire body pressing down on the red start button for the cremation. Whoosh, the cremation furnace immediately ignited, fierce flames flaring up. Linda's and Nicole Vance's screams erupted almost simultaneously, so piercing they made one's hair stand on end. Stop. Stop it now. Linda frantically pounded the control panel, wailing, "My son isn't dead. He's alive. Stop it, all of you." The staff, panicked by the sudden turn of events, stared at me in shock. I silently shed tears, feigning a heart-wrenching sorrow. The staff seemed to have misunderstood Linda's mental state. Looking at her with pity, they gently explained, "Ma'am, this is a normal phenomenon during cremation. It's not the deceased coming back to life. Please try to control your grief." Control your grief, my ass. Linda completely lost control, swinging her hand and slapping the staff member across the face. "My son faked his death. He's not really dead." Inside the cremation chamber, through the heat-resistant glass, Ethan's body began to convulse in the flames. Perhaps the anesthetic had worn off, he suddenly sat bolt upright. His eyes were wide open, his face panic-stricken. His mouth made no sound, only a desperate plea in his eyes, as if begging for help, as if blaming. His face was terrifyingly fierce. "See? My son sat up. He's not dead. He's not dead." Linda pointed at the cremation furnace, screaming like a madwoman. The staff member still tried to maintain a professional demeanor, patiently explaining, "Ma'am, this is a normal muscle contraction response under high temperatures. It's completely normal, please understand." "Normal response, my ass." Linda screamed, cutting him off, then pointed at me and yelled, "It's her. It's that bitch who killed my son. Ethan faked his death. He's not really dead." Hearing the words "faked his death," I feigned shock, turning to look at her, my voice trembling. "Mom, what did you say? Ethan faked his death?" I covered my mouth, acting as if I couldn't believe it. But inside, there was an undeniable surge of joy. "Burn, burn. Ethan Cole, this time, you really have to die. Mom, explain clearly, what exactly is going on? If Ethan really just faked his death, then why did Dr. Vance sign the death certificate?" I pretended to be bewildered, looking up and staring at Nicole Vance, questioning her, "Dr. Vance, what exactly are you trying to do?" If you hadn't signed the death certificate, how would the crematorium staff dare to cremate my husband's body? You are the murderer who killed my husband. I will report you to the police. I immediately shifted the blame to Nicole Vance. As expected, Linda instantly looked at her with eyes like a venomous snake. Nicole Vance began to panic. Auntie, how could I kill Ethan? You clearly know the relationship between him and me. That death certificate. Ethan himself told me to sign it. At this point, Linda had completely lost her mind after witnessing her son being burned alive. She grabbed Nicole Vance by the collar, slapping her relentlessly. You vixen. It's all your fault. All your fault. You were already married and divorced, yet you still seduced my son. If it weren't for you orchestrating this fake death, how could my son have been burned alive? Go to hell. Go to hell for me. Nicole Vance was beaten until she screamed tragically, looking utterly miserable. I stood by, relishing the sight, but on the surface, I still had to maintain a sorrowful expression, occasionally letting out a sob to stay in character. Mom, what did you just say? Was it Dr. Vance who seduced Ethan? Was she also the one who suggested Ethan fake his death to leave me forever? I clutched my chest, as if I would faint any second. Dr. Vance, you are truly vicious. You don't deserve to be a doctor. I'll report you to the police. Accuse you of forging a death certificate. Accuse you of murder. I took out my phone, pretending to call the police. Unexpectedly, Nicole Vance panicked so much she knocked the phone out of my hand. I didn't. It was Ethan Cole who approached me. She screamed, her wild eyes showing clear desperation. He said his heart only had me. He said he never loved you. He wanted to marry me, but he didn't want to divide assets when divorcing you, so he came up with the fake death plan, to make you feel guilty and willingly pay off his debts. She screamed frantically like a cornered animal. Those words exploded like a bomb between me and Linda. I immediately feigned extreme pain, tears streaming down my face, clutching my chest, my voice trembling. Mom, tell me, those words, are they true? My voice was choked, as if one more word would make me faint on the spot. Linda's face was ashen, her eyes wavered, but she tried to maintain a tough facade. Vivian, don't believe that vixen's nonsense. There's no proof, she's slandering my son. She tried to use a tough attitude to hide the panic in her heart. Linda, are you still trying to blame me? Who says I don't have proof? Nicole Vance refused to take the blame alone. She pulled a voice recorder from her pocket and pressed play. Ethan Cole's voice immediately came through clearly, full of calculation and smugness. Nicole, once the fake death plan succeeds, I'll take you far away, and let Vivian, that stupid woman, pay off all the debts for me. My high-interest loan is enough for us to live comfortably for the rest of our lives. I'll give you the happiest life. In the recording, Ethan's voice was mixed with Nicole's sweet laughter, every word like a knife stabbing my heart. Even more frightening, Linda's voice was also on the recording. Don't worry, son, I'll keep an eye on her. Make her drink all that water. Then, she'll obediently listen and pay off your debts. Her voice was as cold as ice, as venomous as a snake hissing. The evidence was undeniable. This time, Linda had no way to deny it. You bitch, I let you keep evidence? Linda, in a fit of rage, snatched the voice recorder from Nicole Vance's hand and smashed it on the ground. Crack. The voice recorder broke into 2 pieces, completely ruined. The recording is gone, and you signed the death certificate. Now you're the only murderer who killed my son. A crazed fire ignited in Linda's eyes. Aya. Nicole Vance screamed like a madwoman, unwilling to take the blame alone. Linda. You want to drag me down with you? Then I'll fight you to the death. The 2 women, having lost all reason, lunged at each other, fighting like 2 crazed stray cats. It was quite a spectacle. It's just a pity the actors were all trash. Anyway, Nicole Vance was younger and stronger. She pushed Linda away with a powerful shove. Linda, already injured in the head, slammed hard against the wall this time, blood gushing out like a spring. Then she collapsed, unconscious. Nicole Vance, wasn't killing my husband enough, now you want to kill my mother-in-law too? You're a murderer. I'll call the police and have you arrested. I feigned panic, pointing straight at her face, my voice full of anger and fear. I didn't mean to. Nicole Vance turned pale, stammered, and then fled in panic. But she couldn't escape. I had called the police long ago. I also immediately called for an ambulance, 911, to take Linda to the hospital for emergency treatment. Of course, she had to be saved. For someone like her to die so quickly would be too easy. I wanted her to live, to experience the feeling of betrayal, despair to the very core. When the ambulance arrived, the crematorium staff also handed me the urn containing Ethan Cole's ashes. They gently comforted me, "Miss, please try to bear your sorrow." I pretended to have tears in my eyes, feigning grief, and slowly accepted the urn. Unexpectedly, the moment I touched it, Ethan's spirit faintly appeared from within the urn. His face was fierce, his eyes full of resentment, screaming and cursing at me, "Vivian. You vicious woman. You knew I was faking my death, yet you still heartlessly burned me alive. You won't die a good death. Remember this, you better take on all the debt yourself, kneel and apologize to my mother and Nicole. Otherwise, I won't let you go even as a ghost." His voice was hoarse, full of hatred and curses. I just looked at him with empty eyes, without any emotion. My heart didn't stir at all. I was someone who had returned from hell. Someone who had risen from ashes and black blood. A ghost? So that's all it is. I pretended not to see, silently took the urn, and left the crematorium. Because now, I had something much more important to do. You are listening to a story on the Romantic Twist Reviews channel. Please like and follow to hear more great stories every day. I took Ethan Cole's death certificate, his ID card, household registration book, marriage certificate, and other related documents. The first thing I did was go to the bank. I wanted to check all the financial information under his name. And it was from this investigation that I realized just how cruelly Ethan had treated me. The company was clearly profitable, yet he always said it was losing money, forcing me to constantly use my dowry to cover the losses. That's how he deceived me. He had already transferred all our joint assets abroad, and even established a company there. Everything was a long-planned conspiracy. And the high-interest loans, he used my ID card to take them out. He borrowed a total of $5 million, and all that money went to Nicole Vance. $5 million, with compound interest, quickly turned into $10 million. In my previous life, this huge debt crushed me to the point where I couldn't breathe. But in this life, if he had designated me as the sole heir, then I have the legal right to dispose of all assets in his name. I sold all his assets for $20 million. I want to take back everything that belongs to me. I withdrew $5 million to pay off the loan sharks. At first, they were aggressive, demanding I pay the rest all at once, otherwise they would break my legs and sell me to Southeast Asia. Fine. With that threat, I didn't mind calling the police again. Let the law punish these wicked people. This time, the police acted decisively. The entire loan shark gang was wiped out in one go. So satisfying. After that, I went to court. I sued Linda and Nicole Vance for conspiring to murder Ethan Cole. I want these two to pay a heavy price. As for evidence? Nicole Vance had a voice recorder, did they think I wouldn't? Besides the audio recording, I also went to the crematorium to request the surveillance video footage of those two vicious women clawing at each other like wild dogs. The staff there were very sympathetic to my situation of being betrayed and handed over the tape without a second thought. With such solid evidence, Nicole Vance was immediately arrested. Linda, still covered in injuries, was also imprisoned. I spent a lot of money to hire the best lawyer in the city to fight to the end. I want them to receive the sentences they deserve. In the end, both were convicted of manslaughter. Although the circumstances weren't too severe, they were still sentenced to 3 years in prison. At the trial, they both completely broke down, wailing tragically and blaming each other. I watched this scene, feeling immense satisfaction. This is retribution. But this is just the beginning. While I was doing all those things, Ethan Cole's ghost always followed me, like a disgusting fly that couldn't be shooed away. He saw me sell all his assets, screaming like a madman, saying he would give me nightmares day and night, never letting me have peace. How ridiculous. When he made me carry a huge debt, was beaten half to death by Linda, and was hunted by loan sharks day and night, why didn't he think that he would have to face retribution today? When he saw his mother and the woman he loved being sentenced, he cried like crazy. He pointed and cursed at me, saying he would haunt me for life, making sure I could never hold my head up. I couldn't care less. His curses were nothing more than the buzzing of a mosquito to me, useless and laughable. I sold the old house and moved into a luxury villa. Sparkling crystal chandeliers, and outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, blue sea and clear sky. I hired a few maids to take care of my daily life. During the day, I went shopping. At night, I found male models for some fun. Life with both money and time was so comfortable it couldn't be better. But Ethan Cole was really too noisy. It was time for him to disappear from this world. Vivian. You're using my money to keep young men, on what grounds? I forbid it. I order you to use the money to bribe, to get my mother and Nicole out of jail. They are so weak, how can they endure the hardship in prison? His voice was sharp, full of resentment and indignation. Never. I replied coldly, without even looking up. Red wine swirled in the crystal glass, its rich aroma seeming to melt in the afternoon sun. What? It took Ethan a few seconds to react. Vivian, you can hear me? His blurry figure trembled, unable to believe the truth before his eyes. I gently swirled the wine glass, a mocking smile playing on my lips. Not only can I hear you, I can also see your spirit clearly. From the day you turned to ash, I knew you were still lingering around me. You. Ethan was both furious and astonished. He floated around me like a caged animal, but couldn't touch me even a little. Why? Why? He screamed until his voice was hoarse. You clearly knew I was faking my death. Why did you still burn me? Vivian. Didn't you used to love me the most? Why are you treating me like this? His feigned look of anguish was nauseating. A liar, greedy and cruel, now playing the role of a devoted lover? It was truly disgustingly ridiculous. I put down the wine glass, my icy gaze fixed on Ethan Cole's spirit. Why? Ethan, you still have the nerve to ask me why? If everything had gone according to your filthy plan, what would have been the outcome? It would be me, burdened with tens of millions in debt, unable to hold my head high for the rest of my life. While you, your mother, and your white moonlight live in luxury and splendor. You ask me why? I'm the one who should be asking you why. I loved you, so I deserved such a tragic end? On what grounds? I roared, unleashing the accumulated hatred of 2 lifetimes. My chest burned like a raging fire, wanting to incinerate all the crimes he had committed. Ethan was speechless. A flicker of regret, or perhaps unwillingness, appeared in his eyes. His spirit hovered, faint as smoke, ready to dissipate at any moment. But that no longer concerned me. Ethan Cole, I kept your spirit only so you could witness the fortune you amassed turn to dust, to see your mother and your lover live in abject misery. Does it hurt? Good. That's the price you have to pay. I chuckled softly, but the smile was as cold as frost. I've invited a spiritualist to perform a ritual. He'll be here soon. I will ask him to send you to the animal realm, to never be reincarnated as a human again. I wanted him to taste pain 100 times greater than what I endured in my previous life. Just then, the person I had invited arrived. As soon as the spiritualist entered, he immediately began to set up the ritual. The incense burner was lit, and the smoke of sandalwood filled the air. Yellow talismans floated in the air, burning with an eerie crackle. No. Vivian, you can't do this to me. I'm your husband. The one you loved most. I was wrong. I know I was wrong, please forgive me. Ethan was extremely panicked, terrified to the point of madness. He flew around the room like a headless fly but couldn't escape the spiritualist's ritual formation. No matter how he begged, I remained unmoved. Repentance, pleas for mercy. At this point, it was too late. The spiritualist chanted incantations, forming mudras. The chanting sound resonated, like nails being driven into his soul. Ethan shrieked tragically, his spirit beginning to distort, twist, and warp. Then, it completely disappeared. After seeing the spiritualist off, I returned to the room and opened the urn. Handful by handful, I poured all of Ethan Cole's ashes into the toilet. Without hesitation, I flushed. Everything washed away. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. Nicole Vance and Linda, the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law pair who once colluded like peas in a pod. couldn't even wait until their prison sentences were over. In prison, they argued every 3 days and fought every 5 days. Over trivial matters not worth a dime, they could still tear into each other like wild dogs. Half a month ago, just to fight over a steamed bun, the two of them fought tooth and nail. Nicole Vance grabbed a toothbrush and stabbed it straight into Linda's nostril. Linda died on the spot. And Nicole Vance was sentenced to death for intentional homicide. When I heard the news, I was visiting a pig farm at a friend's invitation. The air was filled with the faint smell of pig manure, which, to be honest, wasn't very pleasant. But when I saw a group of adorable pink piglets huddled together, oinking cutely, my mood suddenly became unusually cheerful. They nudged and rubbed against each other, squeaking softly, looking foolishly adorable. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in my ear, Vivian. Vivian. It's me, Ethan. I don't want to be in a pigsty, save me. I froze, turning my head in the direction of the sound. A piglet was looking at me with pitiful eyes, and in those tiny eyes was a look of fear and pleading. I burst out laughing. What a small world for enemies, Ethan Cole. I want to eat roasted suckling pig, let's choose this one, I said to my friend, pointing at that pig. Sure thing. My friend readily agreed. No. A horrific, mournful pig squeal echoed. In the pigsty, Ethan struggled desperately. That night, the bonfire blazed, my friends sang and danced, holding crispy roasted suckling pig. It smelled divine. You are listening to a story on the Romantic Twist Reviews channel. Please like and follow to hear more great stories every day.